Hey everybody, welcome back to WINI. That's what you need when you need it with me, your lovely host, Lydia Shompole. Alright, so this week I have an awesome guest. Her name is N.L. Shompole. She was born in Kenya. She's a multi-platform artist whose written and photographic works have been featured in various print and online publications, including Two Cities Review, Word Dance Publication, Maps for Teeth, Invitation Annual, Kinfolk's Quarterly, and the Rising Phoenix Review. She's the author of 5 poetry collections, including Amazon's bestseller Lacebone Beast Collection, which is called Lacebone Beast, Poems and Other Fairy Tales for Wicked Girls. She's dope, y'all, and she's my sister. You can check out her work and buy her books and artwork at kingdomsinthewild.com. She is also currently seeking creative individuals for a new project. You can find more information at that website, kingdomsinthewild.com. Okay, this is going to be a 2-part episode, so make sure you tune in also next week for the second half of this great conversation. Okay, let's jump right in.
The guy in the Uber when I was driving to the Seattle airport, he was like, he talked. He told me about all of his kids, and then how his daughter's a dentist, and then he was like, where are you from? And I was like, Kenya. And he's like, why don't you have an accent? And I said, well, I have one. It just comes out when I talk to my family. And he said, no, mine never went away, because he was 15 when he moved to the U.S. I was like, dang.
I mean, I could see it because mine has stayed. It's much more prominent than yours, and I was only 10 when we moved here, so I could see it. Because sometimes I think that by 10, a lot of who you are is formed.
Really?
Yeah.
Like brain-wise or experience?
Not experience, because what have you experienced at 10?
Like your family?
In terms of personality and in terms of knowing yourself, I think a lot of it has formed by the time you're 10. Because if you think about the things you like to do when you're 10 and the things you disliked when you're 10, a lot of that stuff is the same. If you think about, I mean, minus the whole puberty situation, but
I think I changed a lot during puberty. I started liking peanut butter for some reason.
Strange.
Isn't that weird though? Like, I used to hate it. I couldn't even stand Reese's Pieces peanuts, like the cups. And then all of a sudden
there are very few things I hated at 10 that I could say I like now.
One
of them being broccoli.
I like broccoli.
I
hated it then too, yeah.
That's the only vegetable I hated and I now like.
Yeah.
I still hate cabbage.
I like cabbage.
I'm not a big fan of spinach.
Spinach is wonderful, especially with eggs.
And I wasn't a fan then.
But you drink it in smoothies.
Yeah, because I don't have to chew it or taste it.
Oh, just because it's not cooked.
It's the texture.
Oh, okay.
It's the texture.
But I think you're on the spectrum.
I'm not on a spectrum.
I think you might be.
Unless it's an artistic spectrum.
I'm pretty sure you're
not on a spectrum.
Oh my god.
No, I just have a problem with certain food textures.
Either that or you have OCD.
I could probably have OCD. I wouldn't be too shocked if I did.
Yeah.
But I'm not like crazy or something like that.
Not crazy. Just
spectrumed.
Yeah. Just spectrum.
The only spectrum I think I'm on is an artistic. As in A-R-T.
Okay.
Spectrum.
Clearly.
Now I'm reading about this guy.
What guy?
What person?
What person? Oh, he who cannot be named?
Yes.
He who shall not be named.
He
yeah.
Voldemort
number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness. We just refer to him as that. If you say his name, he pops up in your corner because he is listening, I'm pretty sure.
I actually think the more we talk about him, the more
it's like power.
The stronger he gets.
Yes.
The more prominent.
I think so. I think that's what he lives on too.
I would not be surprised.
Like the energy, the attention. Which is so sad, but at the same time, I don't know. So you write books.
But what? The minute the attention is actually on me, I don't know. It's like my heart stops beating.
That's actually interesting because that's how I get with like meeting people, like this conference we went to.
Mm.
I literally sat down for lunch. It was like a 3-course meal. They brought out the salad and I sat down and then I just started eating. Everybody was talking. I was just sitting there. And then my boss was talking. He would mention my name every once in a while, but I wouldn't. It's like I didn't have anything to say, and usually my mind goes blank when I meet new people.
Blank?
It's like I don't have, yeah.
Or listening?
Blank, like
empty?
No, like I hear the words, but then I don't have anything to say to that. Like I don't have questions to ask you. I don't think of you as like an actual person.
No, that's weird.
It's just you're there, you're speaking about something. Speak to the person next to me, but don't really, like, I have nothing for you at that time. And then I usually have to, like, watch the people for a while and kind of see how they behave, like, their expressions and that kind of stuff. And then I get more comfortable, and then I have things to say and questions to ask them. Like, I find something interesting about that person to ask them about.
That's almost like reading a book or trying to pick a book out of a bookshelf.
Yeah, it's just
or a
weird.
Bookstore.
I just don't have anything. I'm just like, okay, nice to meet you. That's it. Until I watch you for a little bit, like 20 minutes or something, and then I'll just warm up.
Are you not curious?
I'm curious, but not initially. It's like I have to see something in you that spikes an interest that says, oh my god, you should ask him a question about that. Otherwise, it's just, and if I don't see anything,
No.
I walk away.
Okay, I guess I know what you're,
Yeah.
in that way I know what you're saying, because, but we weren't, I don't know, I feel like there's a very thin line between being nosy and being curious about people.
A lot of people are nosy.
Yeah, a lot of people are nosy, but I also think that's cultural, and that's what I was saying about being 10. By 10, I had lived in a culture where you understood that you don't just ask people personal details.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not something that's a first. I don't just jump to that and ask some very personal stuff. And a lot of people.
And it feels wrong.
Yeah, but a lot of people here, it's a way of connecting. So sometimes I just feel like I can't connect on that level because I find it very intrusive. It takes me a really long time of knowing somebody to ask personal details. Like I can ask you how you're doing. I can ask you what you're working on or whatever it is, like what you do, but beyond that, there's a line that
and it's very...
I always feel like that's, if you want to tell me, that's something different. Because sometimes I feel like, oh, I connect, I could say that. But most of the time, if you push me to ask me that, it's probably something I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And it's a reflex. It's not even like a conscious decision. And sometimes it's just like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is. And then there's certain situations where if I sit down and you voluntarily just start speaking, I'm not gonna stop you. Like I enjoy listening. Yeah.
And I like talking to people who like talking.
Oh yes, I like.
Those are fun people to talk to. It's actually it's easier for me to talk to people who like talking.
I hate pulling things out of people.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It's just a lot of work, and then you feel
It's not that I'm not interested. It's just that I'm not.
It just feels...
It doesn't feel natural, or it feels forced. Especially if I just met you.
I wonder if that's because we moved here, though. Like just at that time where you're starting to form friendships and like getting out of your parents' house, and like you know.
No, I think it's more than that. I think it's very cultural. I think that's a very cultural thing, and I don't know about all other places in Africa maybe, but I don't think many African cultures share personal details to people they don't know.
Oh, they don't. Somebody asks you, how are you doing today? I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's hard. And also I think it's a thing of almost family, because I think back home, at least the way we grew up, a lot of our friends are also a lot of your family, so those people don't need to ask you things
because
they have gone through those things, or they're with you, or they know of it, so they don't necessarily have to ask you about it because they were there when it was happening.
Yeah.
Because when I think about it, most of my friends are my family.
Yeah, and the ones that are friends now are basically like family.
Yeah, because they've been around for so long that they don't have to ask anything personal because they know when it's happening.
Yeah, and when you feel like you need to talk about it, you just let it out, and they're like, "Oh, okay, shit.
Mhm.
I didn't know that was going on, but all right, let's deal with it."
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it
I
could be
think
a
that's
good
how
thing.
friendships should be anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a creative person, like deciding to write a book, and even doing like the process where you kind of start designing your own book covers, because that's pretty impressive. I know people are out there, they're thinking, oh, it takes so much to do this and that and that, and I have to learn it. But I think you just have to sit down and decide, I want to do it, and then you do it.
I think you have to have both. You have to be. I think you have to have both. You could be interested, but you're not inclined to do it. Which happens, and that happens to me in other areas where I'm interested in something, but I'm not. That's just not something that I'm naturally or easily pick up. Like math. Math is not easy for me to pick up.
But you didn't quit though.
No, I don't believe in quitting. Until
even when you suck at it.
Really?
For a really long time.
No, I don't even believe it. Especially if it's just something of a skill level. I don't believe in quitting on that one.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, but you also have to be able to, you have to be willing, you can't be the kind of person who thinks you're better than you are.
That's true because I always think I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I think I'm dumb about everything.
Yeah, you have to be able to recognize your level of talent in comparison to what you are trying to achieve. So, if it was with my math classes, I knew I wanted an A or B, but I was not achieving those.
I don't think I was either.
I was willing. I knew going in, this is just not my game, but I want it. I want to know it, so I'm willing to do it more than once to get it right. So that's the one thing. In art, with the book covers, you have to know that you have to be able to look at a project or look at something that you admire and say, can I do this? Yeah. Try and do that. You will always fall somewhere between exactly or very similar in terms of like skill or what's the other word?
Talent? No?
No, that's
effort?
Not the word. No, it's not effort. You can put a lot of effort and still make something dumb.
How do you tell?
No, I'm saying because I've done it. But you have to be able to look at something and there's a word for it that's a very important word for it because nobody makes things as good as they used to be anymore. Does that make sense? It's like how people make electronics now versus electronics from 50 years ago lasted so much longer.
You mean quality-wise?
Quality. Okay. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. So you have to be able to know your skill, your talent, your quality, right? And you have to be able to be in the ballpark.
Okay.
So sometimes I look at something and I'm like, there's no way I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try it. Or something I look at and I'm like, if I do this, this, and this, or if I try this different things in terms of skill, like if I'm using Photoshop or if I'm actually hand drawing or hand painting or things like that, or photographing it, because sometimes I can take my own pictures and I'm pretty decent with that one.
Yeah.
You have to be able to tell. So if you do something or you make something, you can make a cover and you look at it and you're like, so this falls short. Or you can be like, this looks at the same quality level as this. It doesn't have to be a match or a copy of what you made, but it has to be on the quality level of what you want. So you can want that, or you can be able to do that. And if you can judge that, then I think you're okay because you'll be able to tell if you're in the right direction or the wrong direction.
So if you think that you don't have any room for improvement, then you're fucking up, basically.
Yeah, that's maybe not fucking up, but that's dangerous.
It is dangerous, yeah.
I think that's a dangerous line to be on because there's nothing I've ever done that I think could not use improvement, but that doesn't mean I don't think it's good. Like,
I think it's as good as I could do at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, because like my last book, or every book I've written, and I just started writing my books in 2013, at the time I finished writing that book, I felt like that's the best thing I've worked on or I've done. Right now, when I look at my first book, I'm not sure I want.
Cringe.
I'm not sure I want to go back and
You
read
get
that
that.
stuff.
Oh, you get that little cringe too. Oh.
Yeah. So when somebody's like, "Which is the best book you've written?"
Like this?
I'm always partial to say the newest one because I know, growth-wise, talent-wise, skill-wise, because it's not just talent. You have to have the skill, and you have to want to. Like, skill is something that's always changing and evolving. You know, something you did even with language. Say language. I speak 3 languages at different fluencies. One changes based on the other. Right now, I could say I'm most fluent in English. I'm pretty good in Swahili. I will survive in Maasai. Like, but those change. You know, the more Maasai, but the more Maasai I speak, I feel like my English suffers because everything is backwards or
like the
in
structure
terms of sentence structures.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I write a sentence and I'm like, I wrote the words in English, but I used a Maasai sentence structure.
Which is
So so all of these things they vary, and it's not always increasing or always decreasing.
Yeah.
It goes up and down based on what you're using most, what you're capable of.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah, practice is big.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's at least that's what I can say about book covers and writing.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about that. If I put it in order of least fluent to most fluent, it would be the Maasai, Swahili, and then English. And I know my Swahili, I would barely survive. I could ask for food and water, maybe go to the bathroom, maybe. Okay, I could understand a lot of it, but I can't speak it as well. And then Maasai, I know I'd probably die within 3 days.
Really?
Probably 3 days.
I'm not dying.
In the middle of nowhere?
In Maasai?
Yeah.
I'm not dying.
I would probably die. I would be that child they talk about that. Yeah. Anyway.
Let's put it this way. I can't write a novel in Kimasai, but I'm not dying in Kimasai either.
I think I would die.
I can do all my essentials. I can tell you who I am, where I'm from,
I can
where
do
I
those.
want to go. I can communicate. I'll butcher the tenses.
That's the part I'm worried about.
But
not the tenses for me, like the actual words. I think I would butcher them. And I wouldn't understand when they were saying things that
I understand.
would be dangerous to my health. But other than that.
No, I can understand it. The only thing that actually gets me in that one is my tenses. The vocabulary I have down.
But that's fine.
If somebody talks to me, I know what you're saying, so that's fine.
Because eating and I ate, that's not too bad.
Yeah, those are not bad. I get that.
So
I just know I will write you something comprehensive or comprehensible in Swahili. I'm writing English. I don't have an issue writing with.
Yeah, I don't.
I can write you actually something comprehensible in Kimasai. But you might have to wonder if it happened or it is going to happen. Like it's the tense that gets me on that one.
Then it could just be like that movie that we talked about, Arrival.
Arrival. Oh, that was a good movie.
I'm still tripping out on that.
I love that movie.
So it happened, but it didn't happen. It happened, but it was happening.
No, she's seeing the future because the language that the aliens spoke rewired her.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler alert, yeah.
Yes, but you should have watched it by now.
Yeah.
But no, the language that the aliens spoke rewired or wrote because there's a difference. The alien language has no correlation between spoken word and written word.
Is it spoken word and written word, or spoken word in like time? Is it that way?
No. Spoken word and time correlate in their language.
Okay.
Written word and time correlate.
But
written word and spoken word do not correlate. Okay. So I could be walking. I could write I'm walking, but that's not what I would say.
Okay.
At least from my understanding of it.
Oh, and that's why they had a difficult time with the symbols on the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why they either had to learn the listening or like the spoken, the verbal,
but not together.
Or the actual written with the ideograms.
Yeah.
But I love that movie.
That was a really good movie.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised, and it was slow, but just it wasn't slow boring.
No, it wasn't boring.
And that's a fine line. Like it's very easy to become slow and boring.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But it was good.
That's good. It's a little bit different though from the actual short story they based it on.
I still haven't read it.
You should read it. I actually have a copy you can read.
Okay.
It's good. It's very different. I think in the movie they added a little bit more of the military angle.
Yeah, because I saw that the like when they can't say that, the blowing up.
If you haven't watched this movie by now, just go watch it.
Like the retaliation and all of that, and I felt that was so wrong, especially since they let them go up there. You know?
Well, yeah, but that goes into a colonial mindset. That goes into a different kind of politics.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just strange, but
that's almost like a fear politics, though, in my head.
That's what's currently going on.
Yeah.
Fear mongering. It's wonderful. You guys should check out ProPublica because that's where you could get accurate news articles.
ProPublica? What's that?
ProPublica. It's a.
I've been reading everything.
But that.
I don't think I've seen any ProPublica.
ProPublica.
But I'm not gonna name any
news sources. Yeah.
Not because I don't want to name them, but because I don't want people to listen to the wrong things and believe them.
And then say it's you.
Yes, but I read both sides of the line. So I read the pro-Voldemort and the anti-Voldemort. Yeah. Just because I want to know what people are thinking, because I think how we got into where we are now is because nobody is looking at the other person and trying to understand them. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to look at both sides and see what both people are thinking, and it's very shocking. It's very shocking stuff. Mm-hmm. Scary stuff.
That's what the lady, I went to the TED Talks in Seattle, and she was discussing how the best thing you can do at this was pre-election. Was it pre-election? Yeah, pre-election. She was talking about how the best thing you could do is meet somebody who actually wants to vote or voted for Voldemort. And I was like, but you're not supposed to even say Voldemort. He who shall not be named.
He who shall not be named. True.
So she said, meet with that person, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk about why they feel the way that they feel. And don't be defensive. Don't call them names. And do your research. Don't go to Facebook to look at the news articles because they're tailored to you. Facebook has clearly said, we don't want to post anything on your Facebook feed that would make you have a negative view of Facebook. We want you to come here and enjoy your time on Facebook. So that means they're looking for the things that you're looking for. They're looking for people who share the same beliefs you do. They're looking at people who share the same posts you do and go to the same places you do. So nothing on Facebook that you see is going to be negative towards you unless you seek it out yourself or one of your friends posted it on their page.
But isn't that also some type of hyper-tribalism?
It is. That's how you sell things and you encourage people to participate in something. They have to feel like they belong. And once I heard that, I was just like, wow.
No, that's very terrifying.
Yeah.
That's very terrifying. There is no but to that one. It's just point blank terrifying.
Yeah, and they're doing it on purpose. It's like creating a system of fear and just you feel like you need to belong to something, and if you don't belong to them, then your life is over. Almost.
But if you think about it, though, it's only fear on one aisle of that.
No, it's fear on both because the other side thinks that if we don't take control of minorities and immigrants and all of these people, then they're gonna kill us and take over our lives. It's literally pitting two groups of people who don't understand each other against each other. That's it.
Oh, this is where Trevor Noah comes in.
What about Trevor Noah? What did he do? I mean, I know he's strongly against
No. He just talks about how the apartheid worked in South Africa, and obviously he's not the only person who talks about it. But
is that in his stand-up or on his show?
He talks about it some on his show, a little bit in his stand-up, but he talks about it a lot in his book, and since his book came out.
Yeah.
And it puts a perspective on it because based on what I read and what I understood, the South African apartheid was based on a selection of the best segregation practices or racism practices in all
of the world.
Yeah, so there were people sent out from South
Ooh.
Africa to different places where racism and segregation were state instituted,
Mhm.
and they studied it. So he talked about some European countries. He talked about obviously the U.S., but he talks about how there was research done to create the perfect apartheid or the perfect racism system
whoa.
in South Africa, and that's why it went the way it did, and that's why it was as strong as it was and as prevalent as it was.
Mhm.
So he talks about that, and that's something I've never heard of before, because I think there's a difference with the colonization that a lot of African countries went through,
Mhm.
or the attempts of colonization, versus the actual occupation of what happened in South Africa. Like, I think there's a huge difference. Like, even from us in Kenya, or like other countries around that went around similar things, there's kind of a different way that things were done, and not to the extreme,
Mhm.
from what I understand of what happened in South Africa.
Yeah. No, I can
But
see that.
he talks a lot about how it was very paramount to divide people into smaller and smaller groups that fought against each other.
Mhm. Instead of
Instead
altogether
of
banning.
and then it was also something, I think he was talking about how it's a rule of a small group ruling over a majority of the country, and how they had to figure out how to make that work.
I wonder if that
for
has
them as a
anything to
system?
do with our current 1% versus 99.
I mean,
I wonder if that has
corporate, it could be that would be something very interesting to like explore it in terms of like a corporate. I mean, okay, it would be interesting, but if you think about it historically, it's not something new.
It's not at all.
'Cause
It's
you've
just
always-
modified, yeah.
Yeah, because in certain cultures, I would say in more Western or European cultures, there was a whole serfdom,
Mhm.
there was whole nobility and aristocrats.
Mhm.
So it is, I wouldn't say it's a new idea. I could say it's playing out in a slightly newer way,
Mhm.
just because I'm pretty sure now that the populations and the margin between the two are so much bigger, just in world population by itself.
I'm wondering if the internet has anything to do with how strong of an uprising is going on across the world. Like, you remember when there was the whole revolutions like happening in all of these countries?
Mm-hmm.
I think the internet had a huge part to play in that.
Oh no, I think that's basic
Yeah.
knowledge or proven.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
No, I think it does, and I think that's tough. I think it could help. I think it could hinder.
It could?
It could hinder because, like you were saying, that there are certain places where you tailor the kind of information that you get.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't personally or make a decision as a person, if you don't make the decision to look at both sides of the thing,
then you're
in the danger of only hearing what you want to hear, or only reassuring your own fears or your own maybe your own victories as well, because sometimes if you hear you're winning, like, that's a good boost. It's almost like a like on a page,
It's like when they said Hillary, like everyone was just saying Hillary's okay, like she's gonna do fine, and then we saw what happened, and it was still like a shock. Even when it came to be that.
Yeah, it's still a shock. It's a shock in very many ways.
Yeah. But it's all interesting stuff. I like how things play out. And then you look at it and you're shaking your head wondering what happened. And the other thing is, you were saying that we're playing a different game than other people are playing, and it's like once you start realizing that something else is going on above your day-to-day life, then you kind of start looking for it. And
I think that's very true. I do think those people who voted for Hillary versus the people who voted for Trump are playing two different games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the people who are running for offices versus the general population or general civilian people are playing two different games.
Oh yeah, we're worried about our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Are you paying the rent on time, the phone bills, blah, blah, blah. They're worried about what's going on in, like, different countries. And
yeah.
What's going to be 10 years from now? Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where writing comes in, and that's where art comes in, and that's where the humanities come in. Because I think when you're in college, nobody ever emphasizes, like, nobody really talks about how important the humanities is. And as a science background person who grew up in a science
it really
household,
doesn't sound like, yeah.
It's good to be kind, and it's good to be polite, and it's good to treat people as they should be treated with respect. But nobody, like, I think we almost take for granted that you should just treat people a certain way.
Yep.
And that's it. But I think when you see such a divide and such a misunderstanding between two major sectors of people in the same country, that's where something like the humanities come in. Because when I say we're playing a different game, read fiction, or read a lot of fiction, read a lot of poetry, read a lot of, like, these are things, read satire, or watch satire, watch movies about, even if it's a fictional movie, those things come from realities. It's just that in fiction you heighten it so that you can make a clearer point.
Yeah, so people aren't sitting there wondering what just happened.
Yeah.
Like, they get it. Yeah.
But a lot of the times, it's stuff like that is not coming from nowhere. I think that's huge. And I think sometimes when people write, it's them trying to put a finger on what's going on in the world. Because I know I write a lot like that. A lot of the times when I don't understand something, or I'm trying to get my mind around something, or I'm trying to figure out how to do something differently, I'll write. As opposed to, there are people who prefer to talk about what they're going through, or talk about what they don't understand.
Yeah.
There are people who write, there are people who sing, there are people who do sports and exercise. I think everybody has their own way of, like, trying to figure out what's going on in the world. But for me particularly, I like to write. So when I look around and I don't understand what's going on, or what's happening, or how it could have gone that way, it's easiest for me to figure that out based on putting it down on paper.
No, that makes sense, because I've seen a couple of poems where it actually has to do with the situation that the world is going through in, but it doesn't say it in that way.
Well, yeah, because
yeah,
I don't think writing is very literal, or very I don't think it translates. It's not like, or anybody who speaks two different languages will know that saying a sentence in one language doesn't directly translate into the same sentence in a different language.
Yep.
So I think that's how writing is. It's a variation or a dialect of a language, or of reality,
like
maybe.
Its own hybrid.
It could be a variation or a dialect of what's going on in reality. At least I feel that way sometimes.
No, I can see that.
Because you don't, I mean, obviously something happens in real life and then it takes a life of its own. But the truth of that thing is not untrue.
You read those Neil Gaiman books, huh?
I've read a couple.
The ones with the myth and how, like, the myth changes as time. Like,
I haven't. No, I know what you're talking about, and I haven't read it.
You need to read that one, because
I know what you're talking about. These are the American Gods ones.
Yes.
It's gonna be a show. I'm gonna read it before the show comes out.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I know what you're talking about because I love Neil Gaiman.
And we were I took this mythology class with Ile or Nesla.
See, that's the other thing I always think about. It's myth. I think of myth and religion and science as the same thing.
Science included in that?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Why? It's because, think about, this is my favorite one that I feel like can make that make sense. Is like things like, people used to think you get sick by bad air.
Or cold air, yeah.
Or cold air, but necessarily bad air. And that's why there are things named malaria. Mal as in bad.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
People didn't, a couple of hundred years ago, a couple of thousand years ago, people didn't understand the relationship between, let's say, mosquitoes as vectors for disease, or airborne illnesses, like you can cough and you're spewing out a virus, right?
Yeah.
So how people explained how something would be contagious spreading would be bad air. And the way for them to explain bad air would be witchcraft, or would be a curse from God, whoever God you believe in, or stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
If you break it down and you look at it in terms of religion, right? Yeah. And you say, this happened, and then a god brought bad air, and then we got sick, right? Based on probably some behavior or some aspect of what we did, right? That's a religious aspect of explaining a scientific thing, right? We come along, somebody invents a microscope, somebody looks into water through a microscope, somebody sees some little thing squiggling around. We didn't know what those things were.
Yeah.
But we knew something of that aspect caused disease. But before you know that, you explain it the best way you can. And that's why I think religion and myth and science have a lot to do with each other.
Because they're not wrong.
They're
bad
not
air.
wrong. It is bad
Literally,
air.
yeah.
If I cough or if I sneeze and I have a cold and you catch my cold, you didn't see the sneeze particles, you didn't see the virus particles
coming into your
into
face.
you and
knowing
infecting
what-
you
yeah.
with a cold and you getting sick and dying,
Yeah.
right? It was bad air. It was, we would just say it was contaminated by a virus particle.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, and I did this in a science class in one of my evolutionary biology courses, we were asked to explain disease and climate change to somebody who has no scientific background.
Oh, that's a good.
It is hard.
It is, yeah.
If somebody doesn't know what a virus is, if somebody doesn't understand what germs are, if somebody doesn't understand contagion, it is
Where do you start? Yeah.
hard to explain something like that to them.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like those things, there are aspects of the same things. Yes, I believe in a God, but I also believe in science. I think
scientific
those.
God.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not even. It doesn't have to be a scientific God, but I think those are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
I think if God wants us to know things,
Yeah.
we'll figure out the language He's using.
Because they wouldn't be there if He didn't want us to know, or if she didn't want us to know, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
But
what-
yeah, I think those are very. And I had a class where we had to sign a form in the beginning of the
To
course.
talk about religion freely.
We had to keep religion out of the class. I had a class once you get into your higher biology courses, because you deal with evolution a lot. There, during syllabus week, you have to sign a form that says, I understand that in this class the other theories of creation may exist, that we are not talking about biblical
Yeah.
or religious creational theories. We're only talking about the scientific theory of
With-
creation.
The funny thing is, I think at that level of college or like higher education, you've gotten to that level because you understand all of those things, and like you already have.
You'd be shocked.
Really?
You would be shocked.
Seriously? But I'm thinking, okay, so if I got that far, I've already taken like the regular biology in high school.
Yeah.
I've taken maybe one other biology class or reproductive rights or all of those kinds of other things. So I have an understanding that there's some science that goes into that, you know?
Yeah.
So how would I
No, you would be shocked because you're thinking in terms of everything you know so far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But think about it in terms of a new disease. Like, let's talk about Zika virus.
Yeah, and how people, yeah. Okay.
Do you understand what the Zika virus is or what it does?
No, but I also think that's a problem of mass media and like misinformation. I think that's
Well, yeah.
and they don't know what they're saying, so they're just
But
letting it
yeah,
out there.
so in that aspect, when it's something you don't have a clear way to define,
yeah.
those lines blur a lot.
Okay.
We can talk about the flu because the flu has been around for so long that
you know.
almost everybody understands how the flu works,
Yeah.
or a very large population of people understand how the flu
And you know
works.
you're not gonna die from it like immediately or whatever. You could.
You
but-
could, and a lot of people do. Thousands
Yeah.
of people do. But in general, everybody has had a flu
At least
a couple
once.
of times.
Yeah.
Everybody understands the cycle
Yeah.
for the most part.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a whatever, but for the most part, people get it,
Mhm.
right? A new disease comes out, or we could even talk about how Ebola happened, and then the outbreak, the biggest outbreak so far,
Hmm.
and a lot of the things that went into how it spread and how it was treated as a disease and how the media played it up. All those things have to do with what you believe and how you believe it.
Yeah.
There are people who unknowingly spread Ebola because of like funeral practices, right?
Yes.
There are people who spread Ebola because they didn't understand safety.
Yeah.
So let's say if we talk about funeral, we could talk about it in terms of religion. If you talk about safety, you talk about the terms of science,
Yeah.
but you're still talking about the same way of
Thing.
spreading the
Yeah.
disease,
Mhm.
right? So it depends on what your perspective is and what your knowledge is and what you believe personally.
Wait, did you you released that one book, the short story?
No.
No?
What short story?
The good one, the one about
No.
the disease. Oh my god, please release that one. That was a good one.
I'm actually not gonna release that.
Ever?
Because I'm gonna, no.
I think you should.
I'm gonna rewrite that one.
Because I
You
love
can
that
if
story.
You can if you want to.
Guys, she has the best book out there. Like, I'm telling you, it's about, like how a disease spreads in this girl, and she's black, and I love that. And like everyone in her stories is African or of some minority descent, and it's great. But this is a good book, so if she ever decides to release it, just look for it. It's about diseases and
It's about diseases. It's not really about who the people are or their color.
yeah, it's just about the disease.
Because we've never lived in terms of color.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, until we came to this country.
But at the same time, it's good because you don't get to read a lot of books about people who look like you or behave like you.
But who are not talking about what they are.
Yes, it's not about like the
No,
color of
it's
their
not,
skin. It's
because-
just about things that people go through as a human being.
Yeah.
That's it. But it's
Yeah,
fictional. Yeah.
But I think that has a lot to do with. That's only something I've ever thought about in this country, the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was telling you about being 10 and moving here and
Yeah.
how you know a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Because until I was 10 years old, I've never had to identify myself based on my color.
Yep. I did.
So that's
yeah.
never something that has.
been something.
It's never something that's my first thought. And I've had to learn how to think as a black person first. And I've been in situations where other people have told me that was racist, that somebody did to me or said to me, and I didn't understand the connotations because that's not what I grew up with.
Yes, you find a way to. It's just that person behaving like a human who doesn't feel a certain way, basically. That's
yeah,
it. It's not.
I mean, sometimes you can sense maliciousness.
Yeah.
But I never connected maliciousness to
the
color.
Yes. Okay. I see. Until
more
recently,
I grew up in this country, and until things have been happening the way they've been happening.
Until you met people who kind of opened your mind.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah.
And that's why I firmly believe racism is taught. Is because of that.
Yes.
I believe you are taught to hate people.
And that's the thing too, because alright, so if you're a white woman or man or whatever you identify with, in the US, if you're raised, okay, let's say 10, 20 years ago, you're raised seeing only white people in your schools, you go to the grocery store, that's all you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think anything of it either until you had to deal with a person that doesn't look the same way as you, that wasn't raised the same way as you. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you would have to form your opinion of what you believe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, then you wouldn't really have to. So
No,
it's the same on both sides.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you don't see so many things like us. There's so many things that people think is extraordinary or different or strange about our family. Like, we're 6 children.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad has 3 PhDs. My mom owns 3 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
My parents work really hard. All of that stuff is like in the health or sciences field. So in us growing up, all those things were not weird to us.
Yeah.
But
normal.
I've totally talked to people who are like, wait, your dad has what?
3 PhDs.
And then in my head, I'm like, those are 3 PhDs that I don't have that I need to be getting.
What are we doing? Yeah.
Right? Or those are 3 businesses that I need to be starting because my mom is a mother of 6 children and she is running 3 businesses.
Yeah.
Right? But other people, when they see that, it seems extraordinary or it seems outside the norm, but it's not.
Yeah.
If you go to Kenya or a lot of other African countries or a lot of other countries outside the United States, people who look like us, people with melanin, do all sorts of things.
Exactly.
Yes, there's people who do nothing, and there's people who are bums, but there's also people who are at the top who are doing their education, who are doing the business, who are corporate managers, who are all those things. So it's not astronauts, because I always wanted to be an astronaut. But it's always, it's not weird anywhere but here.
That's true. And I think it's just the funneling of information, because if you live here for such a long time, or you live anywhere really, and people just show you one thing and they tell you one thing about the person that, like the stereotype about the people that you are, then you start to believe it.
You
That's
can.
it. And you don't even notice it.
You can, yeah.
It's
I
subconscious.
think that's very true. I think that's also why you should watch what you put in your head.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're watching TV, make sure you're watching things that reflect
Conducive.
or things that are good for you. Don't watch things that are about people like you who look like you or talk like you that are negative, because it's very subconscious. And that goes, it doesn't have to be color, it doesn't have to be gender, but that's a huge one. Advertising and gender, that's very huge.
Yeah.
But it could be everything. It could be you as a scientist. There's a lot of stereotypes about scientists. I have a degree in science. I don't feel like I fit a lot of those. I might fit a couple of those. But I don't feel like I fit all the stereotypes of what a scientist is.
Should look like or speak like or anything.
Speak like, look like, do,
behave, anything,
or interests. I like science, I like art. So it's a lot of things. I can do science, I can do art.
That's a weird
But people always say, oh, you're a scientist or you're in STEM. You shouldn't, like, you should not be interested in art, or maybe you shouldn't be as good of an artist, or whatever it is, or a good writer, or only people who do science can't do writing. I've had a lot of that. I tend to do better in my writing classes than in my in my calculations classes. If you tell me write a paper or take a multiple choice test, I'll write your paper. Even if you want me to write your paper about math, I will write your paper about mathematics.
History,
I'd much rather do that than do the multiple choice, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, there's a lot of stereotypes that about whatever group you fall into that I think can be detrimental to you, damaging. That
Which
you
is
should
so sad.
you should be aware of, and I wasn't aware of it until I stopped watching television, and then I started noticing when I went back that that's what that looks like, or that's what that sounds like. So that's a huge thing. But
and that's a really weird place to be too, as just like a scientist and an art person. Like, it's a weird, those Venn diagrams, that's what they're called, right? The little circles.
Those little circles,
they shouldn't, like, it's weird, right?
Oh my gosh, have you seen those circles? Somebody should do, and I think maybe I have seen a diagram of woman scientist and person of color.
And it's a small,
it's a very small, but that has nothing to do with ability.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with what you see,
and your determination,
what you believe, and what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
Because if I was brought up in a household that had no scientist, I wouldn't want to be a scientist. But I think that would be because of what I was around.
Yeah.
We all learned how to read before we went to preschool. All the children in our house, 6 of us. But that's because my mom said all my children will learn how to read a book before they went to school.
Exactly. And it made it a lot easier too.
It made a huge difference because when we used to get extra credit in like middle school for reading. I could fail a test and make it up the points in reading because my mom made sure I read.
Yeah, and not only that, you enjoyed it though.
I enjoyed reading. We always had books in the house. So that was never a big deal for me, but that's only because somebody made it an effort.
Yeah.
And you know people who reading was not huge, or reading became a chore.
Yes, a lot
or
of
a punishment.
People. Yeah.
And so many things matter. Don't make reading a punishment.
Yeah, don't tell your kids, okay, now you're grounded for a week, all you can do is read books, because that's negative. It just makes it seem like it's not an adventure, and it is.
Don't correlate reading with intelligence level.
Yes.
Those are very two different things.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And don't correlate tests with intelligence level.
Yeah, that too. And I think I learned that the most during college.
Yeah, because
I just did horrible on everything. Like, I would get I got a 19 on an exam.
Girl, I got an 18 on an exam. I'll never forget that exam.
19. There was somebody who got a 9 though.
I cried.
Yeah, because it hurt.
did.
But it's just, it makes you feel like you're just,
yes,
you don't know anything. But that's not.
But no, and that's why I'm saying don't correlate your exam scores with your intelligence, because I had a tutor. That tutor, this is very specifically in chemistry, because chemistry, well, let's just say I'm not talented in chemistry. But I had a tutor, this is organic chemistry, I had a tutor who was a chemistry major, so he loved chemistry, understood chemistry. I was paying this tutor $20 an hour. I went to this tutor every day for at least an hour for organic chemistry. When we worked and he would quiz me on the work that we're doing, if it was the chemical structures, if it was how electrons are moving, if he verbally questioned me on these things, I could explain what was happening. I could explain my reasoning behind it.
Yep.
I went to sit down on a chemistry test and I could not, for the life of me, complete that test.
Yeah.
And I had to take that class twice. But if you, and I had to actually have, I needed to sign a paper for my advisor that I was taking the steps, and I had to show proof that I went to the tutor. I had to show proof of the work I was doing with the tutor, and I had to show proof of progression between my advisor, my tutor, and myself to prove that I was actually trying to do well in this class. And according to my tutor and according to my advisor, I was putting in the work. It didn't seem like somebody who would go fail a test.
Yep.
But something happened between me revising this stuff and me going to my tests. But I don't think I was stupid.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to ever call myself stupid.
You...
But there's some things that it's the format or it's the mode of learning and the mode of testing and the mode of comprehension that matter. That you really have to care, or you have to want to care. But then they shove us in all of college. They just shove you through, and they want you to either make it or don't make it. So you have to know who you are. I was advised to quit my major. I did not quit my major. I took my class again.
Yeah, repeatedly. I think I failed a lot. But
chemistry, I took that repeatedly.
Yeah, you just keep doing it until you do better. That's it.
No, you do better because you might waste, or you might feel like you're wasting 6 or 3 months of a semester, whatever it is.
But do you want it?
But in the long run, let's say you graduate a year early, but that's the rest of your life in something that you probably didn't want, right?
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah. Would you rather waste your year now or waste your year at the end of that cycle? I'd much rather waste my year here at the beginning
versus 40 years of your life.
But versus 40 years of my life trying to be like, I wish I got that biology degree.
Yeah.
No. I'd much rather take that extra year. And whatever you're doing, just take that extra time.
That's the thing that I'm worried about graduate school and like progressing higher education is because everything is changing on such a daily basis that you almost need to do self-education. If that makes any sense, like your own research and all of that.
If you're not doing self-education, you need to think about what you're doing with your time.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that as a bad thing, or I'm not saying that to put people down, but for every... And this is something they do in college. They tell you, like, for every credit you have, you need to spend 2 or 3 hours of study time. But don't put that only to your classes.
Yeah.
Put that to everything you're interested in. Yeah. I like science. I will read maybe 10, 20 hours a week of things that are science related, just based on interest. If all you're doing is Googling like what your
Love and Hip Hop.
No, I wasn't gonna say Love and Hip Hop. Okay. I don't watch Love and Hip Hop because I don't think
Love and Hip Hop.
I just don't think they do anything that I'm doing with my life or I'm trying to do with my life, so I don't watch it. But I'm saying, like, sometimes, like, you could, because this is a weird thought I had the other day where I was like, I wonder what your foot size or your foot shape has to do with your walking stride.
Oh, that's interesting.
If you have that thought, Google it, read an article about it. I guarantee you're going to learn something you didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say you do that 2 times a day, every day for a week. Do you know how much you've learned just out of pure curiosity?
No, and it's a rabbit hole.
It is a rabbit hole, but you might discover things that you find very interesting.
Yeah.
You might discover things that are like, whatever. But think about it in terms of people who existed before the internet happened and how much knowledge they had or how hard they had to work for that knowledge.
Oh my goodness. They'd have to meet people and talk to people to learn new things.
So when were you ever going to meet a podiatrist or whoever it is who studies your foot gait or your walk gait? It could be an anthropologist. Yeah. It could be a podiatrist. It could be an artist,
maybe
or
a
a dance
doctor.
instructor, a choreographer, a doctor.
That's
Those
it.
are all spectrums that could have studied that situation.
And if you were a person working on a day-to-day basis, you would
Yeah.
never have the time to
But
meet
those
these
are all people, if you didn't care or if you
Yeah.
didn't try to do before internet, you would never know.
Oh, that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually thinking about the datura that you told me about today, the poison,
Yeah.
the flower.
The
Yeah.
angel's trumpet, or
Yeah.
it's either
The
angel's
devil's trumpet.
It's either angel's trumpet or devil's trumpet.
It's the devil one.
The plant.
Yes.
The name of the flower.
Yes. That.
Yes.
Wait. No.
There's
the
two
angel's
kinds.
trumpet is the one that hangs down.
Then that's the one we're talking about.
Yeah. But the devil's trumpet is the one that stands up. It looks like the angel's trumpet, but
it
it's
faces
the
up, not down.
poisonous one. But I was thinking about that, and then remember back in the day when I asked, maybe like 4 months ago when I asked you about the honey that was
Yeah, there's a Himalayan honey that
psychedelic or something.
could be psychedelic or poisonous.
Yeah.
Based on what the bee.
I'm wondering if there's a correlation
uses?
between the two.
Yeah, there is a correlation.
Yeah.
It's also like the M&M bees. Have you read about that?
I have seen that too.
Yeah.
Like the red and the green honey and all of that.
Based on what they're eating.
Yeah, and it's by the plants.
Mm-hmm.
The Mars, whatever.
Yeah. And if
crazy.
a bee
Yeah.
is taking its nectar from a poisonous plant,
Mhm.
that nectar or that honey that they form from that
Is
has
poisonous.
the potential to be poisonous to you as a human being.
Yeah.
It might not be poisonous as an animal.
Yeah.
Like other animals may be able to eat that because they have different metabolism, all that stuff.
You-
But that's something you don't learn unless you look something up.
Exactly.
And
And
how
I
I-
wouldn't have known.
You wouldn't have.
If you had, yeah.
But how I found out is
Yeah.
I saw this plant and I thought it was a interesting looking plant, so I googled what the name of that plant
Yeah.
was. And when I was looking at that, it brought up all these things, what people confuse this plant as,
Mhm.
how it was poisonous, some are poisonous, some are not poisonous, based
Yeah.
on whatever genus you're talking about, and all this stuff. But that's just based on interest, and that's just based on self-amusement.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just find it very interesting. I think you have to educate yourself, you have to do stuff, whatever it is. I can't say anything about music. I
Mhm.
don't know anything about music.
Yeah.
I'm a passable singer at best. But
No, she's
actually-
not passable.
I'm passable.
Okay.
Hey, I took choir all through college level.
Continue.
I took choir in college. FYI, we had to sing to get into the
I
choir.
remember.
Forget
Oh
you.
my God.
Anyway, I mean, I'm not Mariah Carey or anything like that, but or I guess people care about Beyonce these days.
What?
Beyonce is a very
Everybody cares about Beyonce. I even saw the Grey's Anatomy's
I mean,
cast caring about,
I like-
reenacting her.
Yeah, no, I like
maternity thing.
Beyonce, but maybe that's a genre thing, or I like Beyonce for certain things. There's
Yeah.
certain things I'm not looking for Beyonce to sing me like some.
No, I like her sappy stuff. That's what I like.
That's not what I like about
not like
Beyonce.
1+1.
It
That
was
one.
Two. I
That's
like
a
that
good
one,
song. That's a good song.
You're
It's just
right.
like, yeah. And Love on Top. That was
But
easy.
no,
Hmm.
this is the thing I like about music. It's a storytelling.
It is, but
And
it's changing
the-
now.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. I mean,
It's a different story.
Okay, it's erotic storytelling
Yes.
on some
Explicit.
genres.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, and I do find that fascinating about music, it is a story.
Yep.
And I didn't know that, and I don't know if I could ever write songs because you have to use it. You have to be able to translate something, a story, into something lyrical or something melodic.
Mm-hmm.
That's very hard. And I hear music is actually one of the hardest majors to major in because it's very mathematical, it's very complex.
Goodness, it is, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know anything about music except what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
But if you like music, go read about music.
Yes.
You know, there's no limit on what you need to focus your time on.
Mhm.
Just make sure that you're focusing your time on something.
Yeah.
You know, it could be collage. Some people might think that's just pasting two pictures together, cutting up and cut and paste and like arts and crafts.
That's what I think, but apparently
But there are some amazing collages out there. Yeah. All you have to do is go look. I am not a collagist. I don't make
Yeah.
good collage. But it's very interesting if you look at other people, and people tell stories with collage. People, yeah, it's very interesting. It's just based on what you think is interesting to you. Nothing is better or worse than anything else. But it's just what you think.
All right, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed the episode. This is going to be a 2-part episode, so make sure you rate, subscribe, and review on iTunes, and then tune in next Friday for the second half of this conversation. Like I said in the beginning, you can follow her at kingdomsinthewild.com. You can also check her out on Instagram at NL as well as on Art and Fiction. And she just released her newest book, Lacebone Beast. So check that out on Amazon or kingdomsinthewild.com. You can also check out my website where you can email me, get in contact with me, send me your questions, and I will cover them on the next episode. Also, make sure you go follow me on Instagram and Twitter as L Shompole. All right, have a good one, and see you next week.